Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulator test driver.
So there's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's it, 46-1.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
Good evening and welcome to the rFactor 2 qualifier of the McLaren Shadow, what do we say, project tournament, whatever you like, but it's time for some racing action and you're in for that. My name is Randy Butler, bringing you on, not alone, all of that cool racing and exciting stuff that we will see, but let's talk about that a bit later. It is McLaren Shadow. That means you can win your slot on rFactor 2 to actually go to the McLaren Shadow semi-finals, finals, the following steps right after. But for that, you actually need to encounter 3 of the rounds. It is time for round 1. All the drivers did their hot laps the previous days, 2 weeks nearly. They all set a time on Silverstone GP with the McLaren MP4 8. It's one of the 3 new cars that we included in rFactor 2 for you guys to drive and are obviously used in this competition. It is race number 1. We said about that. It's then right after on the 1st you can start qualifying on the leaderboards for the 14th of next month. That's where round number 2 will happen. So there's still a chance. This is just the beginning of McLaren Shadow, and there is a lot to come. As well, here's rFactor 2 as on all the other games that you can qualify on. Whew. That was enough for the start. 13 drivers will run in round number 1. There will be a pretty big field, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of great action everywhere. I'm sure about that. I'm pretty sure that's the same for you guys. And we'll see great and amazing names racing for that. But I will obviously not bring you all the action alone, which means I'll probably head over now to the race broadcast and hop over to the commentary booth to introduce you to who's with me for today's races. And that's where I everything about racing sometimes even does half decent races himself. Welcome to Jimmy Roll.
You give me far too much credit for that.
You think so?
But thank you for the spark introduction. Yes, hello everyone, welcome to this McLaren Shadow. I actually tried to qualify for this myself and was a little bit pants, so I thought best leave it to the guys who actually know what they're doing.
Know what they're doing. I mean, if I looked at the times from the leaderboard, that was close qualifying already to just get into this round.
Yeah, I mean, for example, my own time, my best time was a 1:31.9 if I remember correctly, somewhere around there. And these guys going around right now and qualifying, we have Jan van der Heide right now with a 29.6. So at the moment, I'm being made a fool of. But this is why these guys are the pros.
Yeah, it would be kind of shame if we would be in there and still could compete, right? I mean, I tried as well. I love those cars and I love Silverstone, but whew, they're just super quick.
Well, these are great cars. Of course, this is the McLaren MP4 8, as driven in 1993 by the McLaren team, and it's a very advanced piece of kit. And the startling thing for me, of course, when I got to drive this car is because you guys over at rFactor, you released 3 cars at once. This car is quicker than the 98 car, quite significantly, which I didn't know until I got to drive them back to back, and it just goes to show how advanced these cars were at the time.
Yeah, they're definitely quick. We also know that they have the automatic up and down shift, so it will be kind of interesting if everyone is using that and if they have different setups to when they shift up or down, or if everyone goes manual. I mean, what did you do?
Oh, I went full manual because I thought I knew better than the machine. But of course, I think having the auto upshift is definitely can be an advantage because you end up shifting at the right RPM through each gear. But auto downshift, I never really got on with that too much. But obviously, what do I know at this point? Because I'm not in this competition. But at the moment, I think we should talk about the standings as of right now. We have 6.5 minutes left of qualifying. Our driver's going around right now. Right now, it's Jan van der Heide, currently on your provisional pole with a 29.6 from Eros Masikuli on a 29.7, and then Jim Paris, a very well-known name in the world of sim racing, on a 29.8. So your top 3 right now covered by just over 1/10 of a second.
That is definitely pretty close, I have to say that. But when I look at who's in there, running a bit further down the list, I'm pretty sure that we might see a surprise before ending of this qualifier.
But we'll see. We've got a lot of very talented people in here. Of course, people that I know from other series in sim racing. Mohammed Patel comes to mind. Pinto, Kevin Ryan, lots of very, very quick guys in here. So it's anyone's game. The thing about getting a 1-lap pace out of a car is a little bit different from actually winning a race. Of course, these guys are all here because they're exceptional over 1 lap. That's what the competition was. It was a hot lapping competition, but now they have to progress, go to the next step, and show that they have that pace over the course of a race as well.
I think we should highlight that a bit more. It is actually a completely different story. Like to do a hot lap or to be what we call a hot lap racer, or if you really can handle a full race, manage the car, manage the tires, obviously, and fight. We also know it's one thing to close a gap. It's another thing to actually pass someone.
Oh yeah, definitely. Dirty Air, of course, is modelled in RF2, so if you're going to be close behind someone, especially around here, Silverstone, downforce circuit, corners like Maggots and Beckett's, of course, and Cox and Stowe, very fast series of corners through there. If you're following close behind someone, you're going to be not getting any air passing over your car. Less downforce equals understeer equals slower speed through the corners, so it's all about timing your passes.
That is true. We've got another 4 minutes 40 on the clock. I'm currently seeing who else is running times. Erhard Jajowski. He's currently underway trying to figure out a way inside the top 5. What we should maybe say right from the beginning is it's one race and the top 10 actually qualify for the rFactor 2 final of McLaren Shadow, which means top 10, they will not come back next week or the week after, and everyone else still has a shot next week.
Yeah, so if worst case scenario, let's say you don't get into the top 10, you can go to the next qualifying session and come back for the next round. Of course, the top 10 guys won't need to do that again, so they'll be resting, I suppose. But from there, so basically it isn't over straight away. And I think there are quite a few people in here who might be back next week. Of course, we were meant to have 30 drivers, we have 27 showing up, so we're going to be 17 people leaving relatively unhappy today, but they will get another shot.
That is true, and sometimes you need more than one shot, that's alright. You can still be... That's the good thing about the format, right? You qualify on one of the first 3 events, and then it's a completely new playground in the final. And the same for when you actually made it, because in the final there's only one guy that will go through and see the rest of McLaren Shadow. So we're not sending multiple rFactor drivers, we're only sending one.
Well, you know, a bit biased, of course, as an old RF2 veteran myself, but I'm sure whoever comes from rFactor 2 will be more than enough competition for the guys across other simulators.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw that in their first encounter in esports. That was back then with McLaren's world fastest gamer, which was won by an rFactor 2 qualifier. So. Exactly,
there you go. I actually saw Rudy do a little bit of streaming. He had a go at this himself. He was pretty quick, as you'd expect, really. But so obviously that competitive spirit still raging in here. Wanted to see how he compared to the new breed of McLaren drivers, or McLaren E drivers, I guess I should say.
So we got. I just that was a funny thing. I wanted to say, oh look, if everyone until when is everyone in a second, and then realized everyone is within a second, even last place.
That's the nature of the beast around here, of course, isn't it? You've got all these guys who are super close together in their qualifying, and then you whack them all on the same track with the same car, and then they've got setups they've been working on over the course of the last few weeks. They're all going to be pretty close, and ultimately that means good racing for us.
I hope so, because I'm pretty sure that the cars are set up for racing. Definitely, I had some fun in them, and you can definitely race them very, very close. And seeing that everyone is basically on the same fastest lap time right now, the difference will be in racecraft, not just in fast pace.
Yeah, of course, and that is part of being a real-life racing driver as well as being a sim racing driver. You have to be able to do both. Otherwise, there's not much use being a fast qualifier. You can't do the business in a race. And someone that comes to mind when I say that, in the nicest way possible, is Erjan Jujovski, a VEC driver. He is someone who can both qualify the car and then put it round the circuit within a tenth of a second each lap, again and again and again. So I think he'll be one to watch in this race.
Now, we got plenty of laps in front of us, but not that much time anymore on the counter, actually, for the qualification, because qualification will end in just a minute now. So if anyone wants to have a shot, I mean, we see now Eros Masciuli is now leading, so Jan van der Heide lost his pole position. He actually did 8 laps, while Eros did that in just... Oh, now he entered his 8th lap, so they both did the same. And nearly did the same points, like 0.681 for Eros, 0.692 for Jan.
Yeah, not bad at all to get round and get all those laps out. Now, there is no limit on laps around here. You put in as many laps as you want, but of course the time limit is now coming down. We're 30 seconds left of this session now, so it's pretty much only going to be people who finish this lap who are going to maybe make a difference to their starting position. It's still, it's Eros Masciuli, right now, and the pole only just though. It's 9,000 per second, which is as close as you can possibly get, I think. Right now, Jan van der Heide is on the lap. He had a bit of a slipstream coming down the straight. He's coming into Stowe now. Very fast right hand. You throw the car to the inside, look to the curb on the exit. Actually, he thinks, no, I'm going to abort. That wasn't faster. Going to practice a pit entry instead.
Yeah, pit entry will not make him faster, that's for sure. But I don't see, qualification is over. Let's see who's still on the track. Michel D'Alessandro is still running. Same for top 5 driver Jim Parises. They're still underway. I mean, with those close lap times, there's still a high chance that someone just has a good shot on the last lap and gets a bit further up the ladder. No, D'Alessandro is done as well. Nothing happened there. He is the 3rd right now. Kirill Birukov is 4th. And Jim Parises, he's still going. He's still trying to find a way here. Yeah, maybe inside the top 3. Is that possible for him?
Possibly. I mean, it's a very small gap here, of course. And again, Jim Parises, for example, and Mohamed Patel, both seasoned racers. So you kind of expect them to be quite fighty early on. Of course, it is a sprint race as well today. So no punches being pulled. But as we always say, you don't want to be that guy at T1 who throws out the inside and takes out half the field. So I'm sure some of them are going to be fairly cautious for that, but fighty in other aspects.
And Jim actually managed with crossing line for definitely the last time for him in this qualification. He went from 5th to 3rd, so he said bye to Michel de Alessandro. He's not in the top 3 anymore. He dropped down to 4th. Kirill dropped down to 5th. Still on the way is Mohamed Patel. Let's have a quick look there. 129.863. That is current fastest lap time, which is position 6. That might be a chance for him to get inside the top 5. Coming around the corner. That is enough. Don't think so. Kevin Ziggy Rybarnik is also down. No, he just spun out when I had a quick look at his car. So definitely will not work for him. Mohamed Patel also said that's enough. That means everyone is done. We have Aris Masciuli on 1st. And then Jan van der Heide is 2nd. Jim Paris is 3rd. Michel de Alessandro 4th. And Kirill Birukov 5th. Mohamed Patel on 6th. Peter Bilyak on 7th. Kevin Ziggy Rybarnik on 8th. Alexandro Lopez on 9th and 10th. So the last spot that would actually qualify for the next round is Erhan Yayovsky. But that is just the qualification. So race is not live yet. They got another 5 minutes to just have a quick look at their setups, run a bit of warm-up, make sure that they get everything done, and make sure that they have enough fuel with them and everything. You don't want to run out of fuel in such a section.
Well, this is the time now. You might notice I've made a quick pit stop myself. We've upgraded to a different microphone. Some people were saying it was a little bit robotic, and we don't want that, of course. So sorry if it's a bit loud, first of all. But this is the time now where you're just making any last amendments to the car. Usually just fuel. Usually just making sure you've got the right fuel in the car, so to speak. Because qualifying fuel, of course, is always different from race fuel. You don't want to be going out on the session with 4 or 5 liters of fuel, because then you end up not getting very far in the race. I've done that a couple of times, I can tell you that now, Renee, and it's very embarrassing. Also, just maybe having a quick drink, just hydrating a little bit. And people might say, well, this is sim racing, why do you need to keep hydrated in that? Of course, as any nutritionist would tell you, a hydrated mind is a well-working mind, and these sort of cars, you need to have the reaction time there, you need to have the muscle memory there, otherwise you're going to have a little bit of a tricky time around here.
That is true. It's not just a few. I remember one of my pro races back then where I took the gamble of staying on the same tires instead of getting new tires once again before the end of the race. Paid a high price on the last lap. I actually lost 3 out of 4, and you're not really quick with them anymore. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's why you're not allowed to race in this, Renee. You banned.
Probably. People were just like, damn, this guy is awful.
Well, I do that anyway. So the guy's out in the session now. Again, just get an idea of the track as well. Warm-up is always a very tricky time, because there's been a few times before races where you think, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do some fast laps. So you have to get that mentality of the race into your mind now. You've just been out there, you've just been doing qualifying laps, pushing the car to the limit, pushing your own skill to the limit. And now it's time for the controlled aggression. Time to think about, right, okay, where am I starting on this grid? How am I going to move up? For example, let's take Kevin Ryan starting down in 15th position. He's right in the mid-pack, so he's going to be looking at cars in front of him, cars behind him, whilst trying to move up at the same time. And that's always a very tricky place to be in. And when you're used to qualifying, when you're used to braking at certain parts on the course, and braking, say, at the 100-meter mark for a corner, you're going to have to back that right up now, because you're going to be following cars through the corners. And there's a very big risk you might end up running to the back of someone and putting an early end to your competitive race.
Yeah, and there are no brake lines on them. I mean, we're talking about Formula cars.
Yeah, pretty much. These are scary cars, these. You have to just smash the brake, then let off very slowly because of the downforce, and that's how you slow down on this. So one wrong move of the brake pedal, and you could end up being very friendly with someone's gearbox, which is actually not PG-13, so you won't be seeing that on this stream. Anyway, here we go. Race starting.
Now let's get everyone on the starting grid first before we start a race, I guess. Would help a bit. I'll tell you that much. But I'm pretty sure they will all be sorted soon.
Yep, we're just waiting to grid up now. We have 10 seconds till the lights come on, so everyone will be going to the grid as late as possible to save as much fuel as possible. And here we go then. On come the lights. Watching from the start. And away we go then for 30 minutes here at Silverstone in the McLaren Shadow competition. It's a great start from midfield from McLaren Alessandro. Started third up to first place, really round the outside at T1. In the background, cars go wide, but it's Alessandro who leads at the moment from Van der Heerde. Eros in third with Birkhoff in fourth. Patel making up places in the background as well. It's all sorts of busyness in the background, so we'll try and bring you that when we know it's all said and done. There's been an incident in the background, couple of spinners. That is an unfortunate start. Oh, big contact in the background. Lars Brugman now going backwards with no rear wing. There is carnage in the midfield there. Wow, that's not the start some of these guys would have wanted.
That is true, but even up front, I mean, I just saw Michel De Alessandro taking the lead from Jan van der Heide. I mean, both had a lock in a good start to get around Eros Masculi here at lap number 1. But then Michel managed to break on the inside, make sure that he passed Jan van der Heide for the current lead. It's only lap number 1, and it is 30 minutes to go. And we see that Jan van der Heide is very, very close. He's basically part of the rear wing of Michel on some of these corners. Even if that one, the exit was a bit sketchy here.
Yeah, these guys are nose to tail. A little bit of a breathing room because of Cops there. Dirt, yeah, coming into play. Van der Heerde right on the back, though, of Michele De Alessandro. And another RF2 veteran showing his pace here today in the McLaren Shadow competition. Coming now up to the last part of the course. This is the newer part of the course, of course, that comes past the Silverstone wing. And it's Alessandro who'll lead that one, starting third up to first now. Great start from him, from Van der Heide, from Eros Masculili, which he's probably be a little bit upset that he wasn't there to capitalise on Van der Heide's bad start. Then we have Birkhoff in 4th, Patel in 5th, and Jim Perisiv in 6th. So both 5th and 6th position. They used to be part of a very famous Formula League back in the day. Good to see him here and fighting once more.
That's true. And I'm currently checking back in the pack. It's Giorgio Baldi on 11th, obviously a name that rings some bells if you're familiar with sim racing in general. He's currently on 8th, trying to chase down David Mroszek to get inside the top 10 now. So he's the green. He got the green wings, the green flaps on his car there, looking onto the orange. I mean, it looks good. There's still gaps are very, very small. So if people from the back want to get a move going and want to go up that leaderboard, it's the right time now.
It is at the moment, and at the moment, Alessandro just try to get into a little bit of a rhythm now at this point. Any race like this is all about having a nice rhythm, and Magnus and Beckett's is the perfect metaphor for that. On exit now, the gap up to about just over half a second now, probably about a second coming onto the hangar straight. Top 3 all slipstreaming at the moment. Slipstreaming is worth quite a bit of time around here, of course. But then you get to a fast corner afterwards, and that slipstream is then met with dirty air instead. So it's sort of a double-edged blade in that aspect. Meanwhile, we go down the field a bit. It's a bit closer from 4th to 8th place or so. All these cars within about half a second of each other. That's what we're going to see around here. Again, this being a Formula car race. This is a 93 Formula 1 car you're seeing here. Dirty air is going to be a big factor. So getting very close to the guy in front is going to be tricky. But once you're there, that's your chance to overtake.
That is true. I mean, dirty air is always a factor. And obviously, they rely on downforce. Like all of these cars rely on downforce. It's pretty hard for them. But I think that Eros Masculi is getting a bit closer to Jan van der Heide, who lets De Alessandro run away from him. Will be a very interesting thing here if he can try to come back. I mean, he had pole position. He was the quickest. So that should be a way for him if he finds his rhythm to actually catch up to them.
Well, of course, bear in mind that whilst winning this race is going to be all well and good, and I'm sure some people will be really up for that aspect of, oh yes, I won the first McLaren Shadow qualifying RF2. It doesn't matter too much, really. It's the top 10 that go through in that. So I don't think we'll see any silly moves up this end of the field. I think where we need to be focusing for the action is a bit closer to the cutoff. I mean, for example, right now it's Dawid Maracek, who's actually the last qualifying driver in 10th position. And he has Giorgio Baldi and Petar Briliak behind him as well. So at the moment, these are the guys who are fighting for the next round, so to speak. They're fighting to qualify.
It's true, everyone wants to make sure that he is inside the top 10. Obviously, Giorgio Baldi currently isn't with 11th position. Also having a quick look at who's in and who's out. In general, unfortunately, we lost Kevin Ryan, Lars Brookman, Kevin Ziggy Rebarnek, and also Mark Behrens, who had a suspension failure. Everyone else is still in the run and still in the race, trying to get them inside the top 10.
Yeah, I think a lot of those retirements we've seen were involved in our first corner incidents, unfortunately. Very easy for that to happen, of course. Just get caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the good news for them is they do have the opportunity to come back again for the next qualifying round. So whilst maybe it isn't going to be a qualification for them this time around, there is still a chance for them to do so. It's still Alessandro leading. The gap is sort of fluctuating between him and Van der Heerde, but they are pulling away a little bit from third position. So the top two starting to pull out a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, that surprises me. I really thought that Eros Moschioli would get back to them, because it looked like that in the second lap, that he was trying to close that gap. He had a pretty good run there. But right now, it is Jan van der Heide and Michel D'Alessandro dictating the pace here in the race. And D'Alessandro did a good job in managing to get first place right away on lap number 1 off the hands of Jan van der Heide. Now he's trying to manage that half a second gap.
Well, standing starts are one of the most important things you can have in one of these races. It's your chance to make up several positions for free, essentially, if you can just get off the line quickly. Of course, passing someone at the start is a lot easier than passing them on the circuit. So Alessandro will have a big smile on his face right now, as well as a lot of sweat on his brow, I imagine, given that he is being chased quite feverishly by Van der Heerde. We've had Giorgio Baldi in the pits at the moment. What is that for?
Yeah, I'm also really surprised. That should be the time to take a pit stop already.
There is a possibility that he might have either underfueled the car, as we said, might not have put race fuel in. He seems to be back out again now. It might have been a stop-go penalty. There might have been some cutting involved. We haven't got that information, unfortunately. But realistically, that puts him out of the running. So he won't be too happy with that. I mean, he's now 21st and pretty much the last of our runners. So not ideal for him at all.
On position 5 and 6, we see Jimmy Paris is getting a lot closer to Muhammad Patel here. Patel in the teal Shadow livery, and now Paris is in the, I would say, violet livery just behind that. They will still, they might soon start a fight. On the other hand, they don't really need to, right? It's about the top 10, and I now see that Jimmy Paris has just dropped out.
He's just DNF. He's just dropped out. That's a real shame for Paris. So, of course, there are mechanical issues, if you like, in sim racing as well. And it looks like Paris has suffered that. I mean, that's great for Patel. It means he hasn't got to deal with his own sparring partner anymore, but also it robs us of a great battle for position. So, shame there, but it is just one of those things, and we hope to see Jim around for the next qualifying session.
This leaves a bit more breathing room for Muhammad Patel. Same for Nuno Pinto, who's now up to 6th.
Petar Briak's just come off in 10th position. He was in 10th position. He's now down to 11th, now down to 12th. Borja Milan and Ricardo Massa both taking the opportunity to move up a little bit. And of course, for Ricardo Massa, that now means that he's in a qualifying position, and Petar Briak is not. So he's going to be very annoyed at himself for that. Just got it a little bit wrong coming into the last tricky part of the course and got into the gravel. Didn't lose too much time, but importantly lost 2 positions.
And that really hurts. But we're at minute 8 out of 30, so there's still plenty of time. But if you now look at 10 and 11, that's Ricardo Massa and Borja Milan. I mean, Milan now knows that it's only 1 position he needs to gain to actually make sure that he qualifies. Massa
slides around Luffield and actually contacts with Borja Milan as well. He just got it wrong. I've done that myself a couple of times. At that corner, very easy for the rear enders to step out on you, and he couldn't quite gather it up in time. Now, there was contact with Borja Milan. I'm not sure if there was damage or not, but now Borja Milan finds himself in the top 10. It's a little bit of switcheroo at the moment. No one seems to want to stay in their position.
I should not talk about drivers anymore. As soon as I highlight them, something happens to them.
Well, this is why you're banned, Rene. And at the moment, now Ricardo Massa is now under threat from Marcel Sisnik as well, and Sisnik looks around the outside of Stowe. He's side by side. He's going to run out of room there. He's going to have the better exit, but the curb greets him and he has to slow back down again. Massa just about to defend the position, but that all started back with his issue. He's probably warmed up his rear tyres a little bit now, so they aren't going to be functioning the same way they were before. ultimately means a little bit more oversteer action for Riccardo Massa, which he would not want right now.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Obviously, we'll get a lot harder now to go through. Everyone kind of gets in the rhythm and then finds the flow, and Massa definitely has some pressure from the back. The balloon, the black and red McLaren right behind that from Marcel Shinjik. He'll definitely lock on and he will try to make a pass here and trying to get a bit closer to Boya Milan, who now obviously got the 10th spot, which is the last qualifying spot. And so far, people tend to kind of do a mistake, and there's another mistake. Just Marcel, I highlighted him. He spun out. This is the 3rd time in a row that I talk about a fight and someone spawns out or drops out.
I think he's stalled. I think he's stalled, Rene. I think he's out the race.
Afraid.
I think he's spun it round. He's not moving. I can't hear anything from the engine at all. I think he's stalled the car. That is heartbreak from Marcel. He's back to the pit lane. That's a DNF from him. And all of a sudden, people are dropping out left, right, and centre. We had Giorgio Baldi as well. He dropped out, our pitter from earlier on. He's dropped out of the race. What this means, though, is the Boya Milan is his competition is falling away. He's got about 1.5 seconds of the nearest guy for his last qualifying position. He sort of lucked into it, really, but all's fair in love and racing, and Boya will be very happy to be in that qualifying position right now.
That's for sure. And maybe I should now I will just tell you the colors and you can say the name. Just so that we get a round of me saying driver names so that they do a mistake. That was, really, I'm kind of afraid now.
Well, I'll tell you what we do in the meantime. We'll go on board with our leader, Michele D'Alessandro, right now, and give you an idea of what it's like to take a lap around here at the Silverstone circuit. Now, we're already down at Brooklands. This is a bit of a late apex corner here. You try and carry speed through, and then you come to Luffield, a very long right hand. It feels like an eternity till you get back on the throttle again, but there you are on exit. Now you come past the old pit straight. You wave to the guys on the pit wall there, on the old pit wall, and now cops flat in this car. You come right over to the left, use the curb there, throw it into the inside. A little bit of a lift there, actually, from Michele. So I guess Ray's still not really playing too happy of him right now. Now for one of the best complex of corners in the world. Maggots and Beckett's. Throw it to the left. Use this curb here. Slow it right down. Get on the throttle nice and early through Chapel. Again, on the curb. Straight line your exit. Up the hanger straight now. Take a look in your mirror. See where Van der Heerde is. You can hear him in the background, but luckily he won't be close enough to make a move right now. Stowe. Aim for this bollard on the inside. Nice and easy on the throttle. Don't run too wide there because you can get a cut track. And now it all slows right down. Brake just before the crest. Don't touch these big sausage curbs on the inside. They'll upset the car. And then you come across the start-finish line. And now up to a new corner on the Silverstone circuit, or relatively new. T1 here. It's absolutely flat in this car. Easy peasy. The cars make it look easy, but in real life they're going through that 270, 280 Ks extremely quick. Again, very slow now for this new beginner complex. Slowest corner on the circuit is this hairpin that comes on to the Wellington Straight, which is where we picked up Michele on the last lap, and just shows you just how quick these laps go by around here in these cars.
And also how easy they sound when Jimmy's just telling you how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you how to do it, but I can't do it myself.
I can now easily qualify.
Yeah, off you go, Rene. Go qualify,
next
mate.
time you'll just become my coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, I can't do it, so we'll leave it to these. But it's looking like a dominant display so far for Michele. He's got about a second now on Van der Heerde behind him, and the important thing is he'll be starting to break the slipstream. So Jan will be starting to struggle a bit to keep up with this car in a straight line. So it's all going well for Michele right now with 13 minutes into this race, 17 to go.
Yeah, enough time left in the closest group so far, at least on my screen. Should be Muhammad Patel and Nuno Pinto, 5th and 6th. Also, Erhan Lejovski is trying to get closer with his black and orange McLaren. So there might be a group that starts to fight soon.
We have that, and we have Theara and Muracek as well in 8th and 9th position. These guys are quite close together. I mean, realistically, they don't really need to fight given they are in qualifying positions. But this is where tactics come into the play, really. Do you want to get past this guy and secure your position? Or do you want to stay behind and maybe risk having the pack behind catch up and then having your qualifying position at risk? Right now, Muracek looks quite fighty all over the rear spoiler of Theara there in that pinky red Shadow livery car coming through T1. It looks so easy from the broadcast camera, but I can tell you that the tyres load up massively through there. And any fast corner around here is a big source of tyre wear. And of course, these guys are going 30 minutes on one set of tyres, so they have to look after them somewhat. But I'm sure they'll still be pushing as hard as they can.
currently down by a lap. That's Pedro Delgado. So back marker off the field. I mean, he's with the group. I can see it. It's just not the right one. He crashes into another car. Someone spun around there. Pedro lost his front wing. I currently try to figure out who's without front wing. That was Fernando Alvarez, 15th position. He did a mistake in the corner. And Pedro just came around that same corner while he tried to make a move back and maybe get his lap back. Not as easy as a NASCAR.
Seems again that you've doomed someone else to another crash there. But Pedro Delgado, yeah, a lap down, and even when you're a lap down, the danger is still there. Fernando Alvarez, his race is now pretty much over. Those cars do not work very well without a front wing, I can tell you that now. You have pretty much no grip at the front. The car will just understeer, and you end up just losing hand over fist of time. And that's his race over, unfortunately. You can't come back from that in this length of race.
That was the 4th time run for me. Like, my kill list basically reads like Counter-Strike.
Well, yeah, finally, you're good at something, Rene.
Great, I'm good at commentator's curse. I'm not really sure if I want to be good at that.
So Delgado, we've got the race director in our ear. You can't hear him, but we can. Just giving a little bit of a warning to Delgado that he does have faster traffic coming up behind him. That will eventually, of course, be our leaders coming through and coming by to take the lap. And we'll go back to our leader, Michele D'Alessandro, who led pretty much from the start of this race. He did start in 3rd position, but had a great start. Went through the middle of our first row starters and got into first and has stayed there ever since. Van der Heerde behind him hasn't really had a response, it seems. It's 1.5 seconds now is the gap, and that slipstream will now pretty much all be gone. So I think if anything now, D'Alessandro is going to pull away even more.
Yeah, I don't really see Jan van der Heide closing their gap soon. Same for Eros. I mean, Eros dropped to 4th now. Kirill Birukov is in 3rd. So that is the chasing group here. And still Mohamed Patel holding on to 5th position. Seems like Nuno Pinto and Erjan Drajovski are not really going all out right now, but they don't need to. This is just round 1. If they qualify immediately here on Silverstone, then they don't need to go to the M23 and Zandvoort on the 14th on the final round in case they would qualify on leaderboard. No, they can do it right here today. It's the easiest way to get into the final, I guess.
Yeah, very easy to do it now, or try to. The thing is, these guys don't really need to fight realistically, but I do hope they do, because that'll be a good show for us. You've got 5th, 6th and 7th right in your picture right now, and in the background we also have the Yoski and Sierra. They were fighting before. Pinto is looking pretty feisty, actually. I think he's getting a little bit held up by Patel, if anything. And in the background, of course, the Yoski wants a piece of this as well. The Yoski, quite an aggressive driver from my experience with him, but usually quite clinical in his passes. If he's going to go for a pass, he'll go for it and make it stick. And now Patel having to defend from Pinto coming up to Brooklands. He comes back along, forces Pinto to go the long way around. Pinto onto the dirty stuff now. He'll be off the line, but doesn't slow him down too much. These guys, yes, this is what we want. But Patel looking in his mirrors, I'm sure, through Luffield. All these 3 cars have been a second.
Drajovski is now super close to Pinto after that attack, because we know what happens when you're the middleman here, right in the center of such a pack. If you do an attack and you can't make it stick, then you're probably in big problems right after, because the guy behind you wants to push around and make sure that he gets the position off your hands. So I think Pinto right now should look a bit more in his rearview mirror rather than concentrating on Patel.
Well, yeah, as you said, the important thing is there are 2 cars behind as well as a group behind these 3. And the last thing you want is to have your seemingly said and done qualifying position taken away because you're busy fighting with the cars behind. So this will be an interesting one in terms of strategy. I mean, we only have 12 minutes of this race left. We're already past half distance. It's gone by so quickly. I can tell you these guys will be sweating, and this would have gone very slowly for them. Whenever you're racing in a sprint race like this, the laps don't really tend to go by very quickly, especially if you have guys on your tail. At the moment, just to keep you up to date, we only have 17 runners of the 27 that started, so the T1 collision really took a lot of drivers out of the race. Unfortunately, we've actually lost 10 of our drivers so far, so it's not an easy one, this McLaren.
But not all of them in the first round. I mean, Fernando Alvarez, he's the latest DNF. He spun around and actually hit Pedro Delgado. Marcel Shinjik also spun around, crashed his car. Same for Gergo Baldi, I think. So, yeah, there are a lot of victims so far here in Silverstone. Not an easy race at all, not an easy qualifier. right now, but it looks easy for Michele De Alessandro, who's now nearly 2 seconds up ahead.
Yep, so there goes Marcel Sisnik. As you said, he is now out of the race. Big shame. And I wanted to just very quickly say hello if you've just joined us. This is the McLaren Shadow Qualifier Round 1. We are driving a McLaren, well, we're not, but our guys are driving McLaren MP4 8s around the new Silverstone circuit. Top 10 will qualify to go through to the next round, with everyone else maybe living to fight another day, and they will still be eligible for future qualifiers. But top 10 right now is our focus, and that means your current last qualifier is Borja Milan, down in 10th position. And he's now actually getting onto the back of the cars in front. Now, this could be interesting, Rene, because what could happen here is Borja Milan can catch these guys in front, have to then adhere to their pace, which is a little bit slower than he's going right now, and that might bring Petar Briak back into the fold as well. He's in 11th place. He's currently our first driver not to qualify. So I'm sure once he gets there, if he does get there, he'll be very keen to get past Borja Milan. So fireworks might still happen yet.
Yeah, it will be a bit harder for him. I mean, we all know that as soon as you run on there, you will become slower unless you find a super quick way around them, which is unlikely since all of them run the same cars. But Petar Briak definitely has a chance to come back. It's another 10 minutes, and he's trailing by just 3 seconds. 3 seconds can be gone in just one sector as soon as these guys might start the fight there.
It can be. I mean, there's that as well. Of course, as soon as you go side by side with someone, you lose tons of time. And it's great that these guys are coming back together again now. There will be, as I mentioned before, an element of strategic thinking. They all know, those in the top 10, that they're currently in a good spot. But of course, when there's someone outside threatening that, then you can't really be complacent. You have to look to go push past the guys in front of you if they are holding you up. I mean, right now, if we go to the head of this pack, which is Mohammed Patel, if you look down, you get a great view down the hangar straight of all the cars there all aligned. It seems that Patel and Pinto have somewhat pulled out a little bit of a gap over Yovsky, but they are by no means safe. Gap between your 5th place and your 10th place right now, most of them in picture, is just under 4 seconds. So all it takes is a spin, all it takes is a little bit of contact, and that can all be shook up very quickly.
It's not enough yet to feel safe for anyone. And I think that Pinto will have a go soon again on Patel. We saw that going wrong the first time, and it was Jajovski who nearly had a chance there to move up to 6th position. If Pinto makes it sick the second time, now that he knows, but as Jimmy said already, everyone else behind that is running onto this group. And Borja Milan is now part of this group.
Wow, sorry, Pinto looking around the outside there at Luffield there. Sorry to interrupt you there, Rene, but he was looking very feisty on the back of Mohammed Patel. I think Pinto wants by here. He's not satisfied with finishing at 6th position. Coming up to Cops now. Patel has to go defensive. Pinto, you can't go around the outside. You haven't quite got the grip there, mate, but that's going to allow Jajovski to get back involved as well. Now these 3 cars are right close together, coming through Mags and Beckett's once more. They're actually being held up a little bit, I think, by Patel, having to defend there. Just a little bit of speed into Cops, and that allowed them all to Constantina back up again. And I think now, if anything, Pinto's going to be under attack from Jajovski coming down the straight.
Yeah, this will get closer and closer. The longer it takes, 7 minutes still in this race left. But Pinto, that was the second time he tried to attack Patel, and the second time he ended up with looking more in the rearview mirror right after. So I'm not sure if he really wants to have a third go. What do you think?
You end up being in a difficult position when you're driving. You kind of think, right, I'm faster than this guy. I need to be past him. That's the mentality you have when you're driving. It isn't. Sometimes you don't have that cool head. You need someone on the pit wall to tell you to maybe calm down a little bit. But if I were Pinto right now, I saw that Patel was struggling, I'd think, yeah, you know what, maybe I do want by, because right now I've got Jajovski right in my mirrors as well, and I really don't want to be fighting him. I had to defend from him where I could be attacking and getting past and pulling away. But saying that, he's had a bit of a bad run through the first couple of corners, which has allowed Patel a little bit of breathing room. But I don't know, it's a tough one to call. I mean, there's only 6 minutes of this race left right now. So there's a good chance that things will stay as they are. There's also a good chance that things won't stay as they are. But in the interest of getting through, I think that Pinto needs to calm it down a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if everyone starts to, if they start to create that trade, and they all get even closer than they are right now, and Pinto doing a mistake, he could find himself on the back of that whole group and that back means not even being inside the top 10.
The Yoski is so close, coming into Magnussen Beckett, sorry, but then he just ends up losing out on the dirty air. Now behind him, Ciara and Mericek in there as well. Boya Milan in the background, Petar Briak there as well. So now the gap is coming right down. 7th to 11th is covered by just over 2 seconds. So this is not over yet.
Oh, we see a fight between Ciara and Maricek, with Milan getting closer and closer, inch by inch per corner. The Peter Bielak is getting closer as well. Did someone drop out there?
They did, sorry. That's well spotted. Looks like we've had a retirement because Petar Briak is now up to 10th position. It looks like it was Birikov who DQ'd. He actually had a penalty and was disqualified for not serving it. So that's actually allowed. That's given Petar Briak a free pass into the top 10 now. So he'll have a big smile on his face because he's now qualifying and the gap between himself and 11th place is 10 seconds. So there you go. It seems that someone wasn't playing by the rules and got slapped by the game, as as can happen sometimes. You've got to play by the rules in racing.
Yeah, I know that you don't know that much about that, playing by the rules. But
yeah, you know me. I'm a good boy. What are you talking about?
But yeah, that leaves Polesny on 11th place to be the first one to drop out, but he's not really in attack range to Peter Bielak. It's nearly 10 seconds between them.
That's a big shame though for Birikov, because he was running in 4th position. He was really high up. I mean, he probably could have served a penalty and come back out and at least maybe fought to possibly get back inside the top 10. But I think judgment got on the bad side of him there, and he didn't choose to serve it. So I don't know, a bit of a difficult situation. But at the end of the day, he's the one that loses out, and now Mohammed Patel is promoted to 4th, and everyone behind him gains a place as well.
Now, are we getting closer? Only 4 minutes now left here on Silverstone GP in our first race, route number 1, the McLaren Shadow, the rFactor 2 qualifier. It's still Michele D'Alessandro leading in front of Jan van der Heide and Eros Masciuli. All 3 names who are basically part of the top 3 group all the time. There's just one missing, which is Kirill Birikov, who unfortunately got a DQ for messing around with the rules. And I think, who else was part of the front group when we started? There was someone else.
I mean, I can't think of who you're referring to right off the top of my head right now, but I'm busy watching the battle for 7th to 10th position. These are 4 cars all very close together right now. And it looks like Ciara has actually fallen off a little bit from Nujovski. They were very close before. Now he's fallen back a little bit, possibly now struggling with a little bit of tyre wear around here. That front left tyre takes a bit of a beating around this circuit, so that might be the explanation for dropping back a little bit through Cops. He wasn't too hot through there. And now he has Muracek right on his rear spoiler.
Now let's see if that slipstream down the straight might be enough. I don't think so, but he will definitely get a bit closer gap by just a tenth of a second maybe. The exit wasn't really that fast, and I think Boya Milan actually had the advantage coming out of that one.
Yep, at the moment, no change in position. As of now, the driver's just, I think, looking at the clock and going, right, we've only got a couple of minutes left now, only a couple more laps, so let's keep it calm and we can all get through to the next round. There's such a big gap between our qualifiers and 11th place right now that they can all essentially just chill out and take it easy. Well, of course, we hope they don't do that, but that's what I'd be thinking right now if I was, for example, Petar Briak and...
Michele D'Alessandro! Oh, there was a crash, I think. There's another car parked inside the green. And Jan van der Heide now finds himself in the lead with just 2 minutes on the clock. Wow, what happened there? That was an intense moment. I just saw his name dropping.
Give me a second, I'll try and find out what happened there on camera. Yeah, there was a car spun, and it was a number 12 car. It was spun there on the Luffield, right on the apex. D'Alessandro tried to avoid him, ended up losing the rear end. Collected him, luckily managed to keep the car running, but of course lost the position to Van der Heide. I'm not quite sure who that was or what the hell they were doing. It was Petro Delgado. He was off the circuit, a lap down, spun. That is poor driving.
Oh, how unfortunate for D'Alessandro here. Not being the winner now, it seems. Jan van der Heide will probably not going Give that out of hands easily now with the last minute running. Woohoo! That can happen. And that's part of racing. We all know that. Still in the group behind, like chasing group. Patel still leading that. Nuno Pinto 5th. Rajovski is 6th. Morozek 7th. Sierra 8th. Bjorla Milan 9th now. And Peter Bierlach, who actually got back. So if the other driver would have dropped out here, we would have a fight in our hands now for position 10, that's for sure. We should blame him for missing out on that.
Yeah, real shame there for Sandro. I mean, he was really just an innocent passenger in all of that. But as you say, it is what it is, and he'll still qualify at this rate. We're now pretty much time elapsed now, so this could be the last lap. We'll try and wait for the race director to give us a heads up on that. But right now, it's Van der Heijden looking like he is going to win this race. He's got about a 3-second gap back to D'Alessandro, and D'Alessandro probably is damaged as well. It was quite a clout he had with Delgado, so I imagine probably got some rear suspension damage. Car not quite handling the way it was before. But right now it's looking like it's going to be him that takes the win from D'Alessandro from Maskalui in 3rd position, and Batel in 4th. It isn't over just yet though, coming round Stowe. We'll see if this is the last lap in 2 seconds time. Now coming around,
eagerly waiting.
Yeah, waiting. Comes across the line. This is going to be our last lap. We'll see. He's on the left side of the circuit. Comes to the middle. There's a checkered flag. So it's Van der Heijden that wins our first round of the McLaren qualifying session, with D'Alessandro arguably robbed of the lead, but finishing in 2nd. Maskalui in 3rd, with Patel waiting across the line, waiting for him to come. Here he is. He manages to fend off Nuno Pinto to the end. So it's Patel, Pinto, Yoyoski down to 6th, with Maracek in 7th, Sierra 8th, Borja Milan in 9th, and Petar Brilak, our last qualifier, in 10th.
Yeah, unfortunately for Polesny, Peyo Piv, Timo Valkajärvi, and Alejandro Lopez to be the unlucky guys here in race number 1, or round number 1, to not qualify directly for the final. Still, they have a chance just on the 1st, like qualify for the next round, start on the 1st of October. It's the M23, the slightly older McLaren, I would say, on Zandvoort.
Yeah, a completely different challenge altogether from this beast, but still one worth getting involved in. Of course, all you guys watching can get involved as well. You might be thinking, oh, I can't possibly race with these guys, but you'd be surprised. Zandvoort and the McLaren M23, great combo, definitely worth a shot. And of course, we'd love to be commentating on you guys come the next round of qualifying.
That is true. We had a good race. I was really happy about the start, even not happy about the ones crashing out, but happy about the action we saw a bit later on. Obviously, that great overtaking by D'Alessandro for the lead, and as he said, he got kind of robbed there.
Yeah, definitely a move of the race for me off the start line. Of course, it's getting a standing start is very difficult in these cars. Lots of power to the rear wheels. You do have traction control as well, but traction control can bog the car down. Alessandro just rode the limit there and got a great start. And ultimately, I think, should have won this race, but he didn't win this race. We weren't talking shoulds, we're talking fact. And at the moment, it's Van der Heijden who will be very happy, and I'm sure a big smile on his face in his rig at the moment.
That is true, which means he's the one that has the most time now. Like all the top 10 now, they have the most time to practice for round number 4, which is the final round on the qualifier.
Yeah, a little bit of way to go until we get to that, of course, and various sessions in between. But yeah, again, another chance for people to get involved and have a go themselves. Again, to reiterate, the content for the Shadow competition, I believe, Rene, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it is free and part of the demo. Yeah,
this round was free with a demo. Yeah, the car in the track was part of the demo. For the next round, you will need to own rFactor 2.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's worth buying anyway. Go and get it. I myself, I've got thousands of hours in the game, and I don't tell my girlfriend how many hours I've got in there because otherwise she'll give me a big old slap on the face. But
well, I see everyone returning to the pits, obviously bringing all the cars back. When we talk about the pack, we brought 3 new cars. It's the MP4A, the M23, and the MP413. Which was your favorite on that pack?
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that, Rene. I mean, I very much like, for the nostalgia, of course, for me, the MP413 Really love that car, the V10 How. Of course, the difficulty on the groove tyres. The car doesn't quite do what you want it to do ever, but there's a very there's a fun in that and a challenge in that. Of course, I really like this MP4 8 as well, just because of the speed of the thing. And I actually got to drive the M23 at the Sim Racing Expo with a very fancy looking shifter you guys brought along, and that thing was awesome as well. So I think all three cars are a great piece of the work.
Flattered now. I'm letting the team know, but I'm pretty sure that they know. But we're done for round number 1, which means if you want to see more action of McLaren Shadow and rFactor 2, then you can either qualify yourself starting from the 1st of October until, let me quickly check that, the 12th of October on Zandvoort with the McLaren M23, and then you can hear Mr. Jimmy Broadband and me coming back on the 14th of October for the Zandvoort final race, where we see another 10 racers qualifying for our final event, and then off 15th to 19th, that is round number 3, qualifying with the MP4 13, the car with which Mika Häkkinen won his championship. You will have that on the last round on Indianapolis GP. So don't miss any of that, don't miss any of the action. Thanks, Jimmy, for being with me on round number 1. Appreciate all your work and not cursing any races like I did.
My pleasure, Rene. See, I'm good, unlike you.
Yeah, you're way better than I am. But that's it from us, guys. See you, on the 14th. Make sure to qualify, get into rFactor 2, race the M23, and see you next time.